Everybody, this is my favorite 5 Fact Friday because it happens to be the one right before Thanksgiving, which is my favorite holiday, and I have a recipe that will be the hit of your Thanksgiving table. If you want to know what it is, you've got to watch to the end of the video because I'm Victor Medina, and this is 5 Fact Friday. Everybody, welcome back to 5 Fact Friday. As I mentioned, this is my favorite video to produce because it happens to be the one that falls right before Thanksgiving. And on a serious note, I want to encourage those of you that were considering having large family gatherings for Thanksgiving to rethink your plans. You know, we are at the height of the growth of positive cases in COVID, not just here in the Northeast, but across the country. We are at unparalleled numbers. In every research point, basically says that we should not be gathering in large numbers because of the potential to spread this disease and really get it out of control. As it is, the hospitals are at capacity. So I want to encourage you to rethink your plans, keep the numbers down, and really limit the time that you are in close contact with people spreading what could potentially be COVID in the air that you're breathing to one another for Thanksgiving. Look, I know it's a bummer. It's a bummer for me too. Nothing brings me more joy than to have a large Thanksgiving. I end up cooking for a few dozen people, and it is the thing that I live for every year and how I nurture my family. But this year, we got to put that on hold, and I encourage you to do the same. In fact, to that goal, I'm going to include a link to a podcast episode that talks about indoor air quality issues with a virologist and an indoor air quality specialist. And it's really a short episode, but if you give it a listen, maybe it'll help change your mind about whether or not you should be spending so much time, especially as we get further into the winter and we spend more time indoors. There's a big chance for this to continue to grow out of control. Hey, listen, let's get to the links for this week. And the first link is what I'm reading. And it's a link that addresses a commonly held belief, or myth, if you would, about whether camels hold water in their humps. What are their humps made out of? Well, you're gonna have to read the link to figure it out. But I'm gonna tell you right off the bat, it's not water. Not to spoil it, you gotta go read the link to be able to go figure out what it is. The second link is what I'm watching, and apparently we're on an animal theme this week because this link is all about a couple that is raising sheep to try to help discover a treatment for a rare disease. What's that all about? Well, you gotta watch the video to check it out and learn about it, but I will tell you it is quite an unusual approach to try to help combat a rare disease. The next link is what's new in tech, and you may have heard that Apple has released new iPhones. They did that a little bit earlier in the fall, and one of the features around that is 5G connectivity. Well, what is 5G? Well, it is a new broadband standard that helps you download tons more information much faster. But is 5G available in your area? So I've got a link that will show you what the state of the 5G maps are across the country, and it will help you learn that there are two different kinds of 5G. There's 5G that is this ultra band, and then there's this other one, this is this high capacity, and there's only one of those that makes it dazzle in terms of the amount of information that you can transfer. So you're gonna have to go and check out the link to figure out whether or not you're in an area that has the best 5G connectivity. The next link is what is new and legal, and it gives us an opportunity to explore digital asset planning. And those are those kinds of digital assets that are often overlooked in the majority of plans that are put in place. So if you're already thinking about Thanksgiving, most of the time we're spent on our devices using social media and connecting to digital assets. How do we plan for those? The link will help you figure it out. And finally, the last link is what's new in retirement. And there, the IRS has released new contribution limits for traditional IRAs, 401ks. Every year, they seem to adjust the numbers a little bit. So if you're still planning for retirement, it will be important for you to learn what those limitations are as you take those next steps, which, by the way, gives me an opportunity to talk about between now and the end of the year. You know, traditionally, when families gather for Thanksgiving, we see a bump in the number of calls that we get in because people will gather, see what's going on with their family, talk a little bit about what they're experiencing, and it will give them an opportunity to reach out and take care of something like estate planning, or if somebody's older, take care of asset protection planning. Now, we don't expect that this will happen as much because, again, we're encouraging people not to gather in large groups, and probably most people will have smaller Thanksgivings. But if you're thinking about making sure that you get your estate planning done, one of the things that we're going to be doing here in the office is we're going to be pulling up the ladder on December 18th. It's going to give our team an opportunity to rest and recuperate, because it's been a long time dealing with all of this COVID and all of the new work that we've had because of that. So we're giving them a chance to kind of rest up and be there for you going forward, but we still have some slots available. So if you're interested in getting your estate plan done, making sure that you're taking advantage of that and getting that knocked out of the way, we encourage you to reach out to us at 609-818-0068 and take one of the remaining slots that is still available for you to complete the plan before the end of the year. So let's recap the links for this week before I give you my special recipe for Thanksgiving. The first link was what I was reading, and that was the whether or not camels have got water in their humps. The next one's what I'm watching, which is the people who are raising sheep to help treat a rare disease. What's new in tech, which is all of the 5G networks and whether they're available to you. What's new in legal, which is helping to plan for digital assets. And what's new in retirement, which are your contribution limits for your IRAs, 401ks, and other retirement planning vehicles. Okay, so we finally got to it. This is the recipe that is going to wow anybody that's at your Thanksgiving table. And here's the thing. Most people think about green beans in the form of a casserole that's cheesy, and it's just sort of this really bland, gross thing that you kind of scoop onto your plate. And I want to encourage you to think about green beans in an entirely different way. Here's the recipe with the link included in the email so you can cook it on your own. What I do with green beans is I end up charring them in a skillet with a little bit of oil, and we char the outside of it so that it gets a little bit brown and a little darker off of it. And then once we char the outside of it, the inside's not cooked yet, we end up putting a little bit of water in there, closing the lid, and then steaming it for a while. So now the green beans are then cooked. It's charred on the outside, soft on the inside, and now here is the part that really makes them dazzle. We end up taking some sesame seeds, some sesame oil, some red pepper flakes, and some Korean spices, and we end up toasting that up in a separate skillet. Put that into the green beans and toss it, and what you have is an outstandingly flavored set of green beans that is not like nothing else that's on the table. You've got all of this sort of really starchy and other things that are on the table, and this will have a crispness to it that will really balance everything out. I'm going to encourage you to try that on your table this Thanksgiving. But today, if you do, I want to hear about it, and I want to hear how well it went, because I'm going to tell you, people are going to think that you're an outstanding chef if you put that on there. So listen, those are the links for this week. As I mentioned to you, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I'm as bummed as anyone that I can't have dozens of people over. It's football, food, and family. Nothing could be more heartwarming, but here's the thing. We want to make sure that we're making the sacrifices this Thanksgiving so that we have everybody at the table next Thanksgiving. I'm going to encourage you to do the same. This has been 5 Fact Friday, and we'll catch you in a couple of weeks. Bye-bye. About how to plan around digital assets and where we are kind of in the 21st century of planning, and what that means, because it's something very different than I think it might have been even 10 years